Hi, Crystal.
Hello, how are you?
So good. Thank you for joining me on Inside the Industry. I'm so honored to have you on today.
Me as well. I'm so honored to be on this and talking with you about this subject. I'm very passionate about it, so thanks for having me on.
No, I appreciate it. You were like the one. As I had mentioned to you, I saw a video of you and your boyfriend on Facebook, and that was like my tip off to being like, okay, I have to have Crystal on to talk about health and just body, like physical health, which is huge in our industry because as people know, we work really long hours. A lot of the times we don't get the proper setup that we need to successfully have, our back relaxed, good posture for these long hours that we're doing, whether that be sitting all day long, also backstage. That's also not the best because we're not getting enough circulation when we're working these long hours. And then you're on set with a lot of crafty and you don't maybe always have the healthiest of options to eat to sustain the long hours. So it's you kind of get in a mixed bag where you want to do so good with your health, whether it be physically and mentally, and then you're kind of thrown into situations where you're like, bad habits just like end up, piling up. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you kind of make your days go. I mean, whether it be you get on a long job, even if it is just quick commercial days, do you have any sort of routine that you stick to when you are working in order to have your ultimate, like, best health?
Yes, I do. So I have learned throughout the years, I'm sure, like you said, so many people have told me and warned me, and it's just hard when you're there in the moment and you're, as a lot of makeup artists probably do, they just like put all their own personal needs aside, and it's just like everything you need to do to make that job happen and work. And I finally got to a point where I was like, I have to stop doing this to myself. Yes, so I started, like setting myself up for success is the way I look at it and try to call it. So I always make sure I have like some sort of nuts, dried fruit. I always have my own water no matter what. I just have been put in so many situations where clients just, they either craft services is great and there's like tons of junk, which is awesome, or there's just none at all and there's no craft services.
There's no food at all.
So I never know.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, this broke up a little bit. Sorry, what was that?
No, I was just on with you. I totally agree.
Yeah, you just, unless you've worked with that person over and over again, you know what the situation's going to be. So unknown. So the night before, I always try to make sure I have nuts, some sort of healthy protein bar that's like a good sustainable protein bar that I know isn't just full of sugar. I try to always have dried fruit and then water, like I was saying, even sometimes fresh fruit, just depending on what the situation is. That's my biggest thing that I've implemented into my going on to set is always making sure that I have at least myself prepared so that way I'm not running on empty, 10 hours in or not had, not even 8 ounces of water and we're going on like hour 10 of the day. So that's been the biggest thing is just like making sure that I do put myself first, but just think about myself versus just completely forgetting about it altogether.
100%. No, it's huge. And I was the same way because I was like, you know what? Sometimes even when I was like super young being in the industry, they'd offer me water. Weirdly enough, like I have that thing where I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like it immediately comes out of my mouth. Where I'm like, no, Rachel, take the water or take the snack, God damn it, because you're sitting there. Yes. But you just are like, no, it's fine. I'm good. Everything's cool. I'm just here to do the job. Yes. And then you end up screwing yourself later in the day. So
it's so true.
Very important.
Yes, so I did the same thing. Yes, and then I finally was like, enough.
Yeah, we have to take ourselves. Well, because then we do a better job. I think that's kind of the mixed bag where people think, oh, you're being courteous, we're thinking about others, but really I'm going to be able to give my best self if I have the energy. I've started to really look at food as energy. So I was like, that's not me being lazy, eating and snacking on set. It's actually me fueling myself to do my job.
Exactly. Yes. And stairs for being the only person that like has food or water on set. And, like sometimes I'll bring stuff to share with others, but I just have realized that, like you said, I need to fuel my body. I need to hydrate my body. And as I mentioned earlier, setting yourself up for success is the best thing that you really can do, even when it goes to the night before and getting enough rest. And I know that there's times that, you're job after job, and you have to go home and you have to switch the kit and you have to do all these things. So I just really try to focus myself on that and not like worry about like social media or any of those other things going on. And I will, if I know I have a long week, I'm very like regimented with my sleep. I'll be in bed by like 9 or 9:30. That way I can get up at a certain time. And that's kind of like the routine I've set for myself to better fuel myself on set and perform better for everyone else.
Yeah. And it's true. It's actually kind of seems like crazy. I know the people I see that do the most are when they're on a movie. Cause like you have your Monday through most likely Saturday. Like you have your kind of Friday days where Friday you're not getting home till whatever time anyways. You have your 2 days to recoup. I've watched plenty of girlfriends of mine who get on those steady gigs and they are very regimented because they're usually getting called in at the same time in the morning, but they come home, they might have like maybe give themselves 30 minutes of just unwinding, watching TV and being a real person for a second and then going to bed because then they got to get right back up and do it. There's no going out during the week. They're not like partying. There's none of that kind of mix in. And I think some people, I mean, live your life, do your best. If you have the energy to do it, hey, get it.
Do it.
Do it. I'm like you, where I'm like, put me to bed at 9:30. I need a solid 10 hours of sleep to be my best self. Like that's for me, I have to have it. Even on a normal basis, that's where I'm like, that's where I'm at. I'm like, put me to sleep. I have to be pleasant. It's fine. But I love that. And also, what about as far as set setup? I think that's also some people, especially coming in early, like you said, we just want to be easy and accommodating. We don't want to ask for a lot. We don't want to make a fuss. We want to do our job and not be seen. So that was one thing I had to really learn to put my foot down, not only in emailing with companies when I'm first like setting up the gig and getting hired, saying, what is the setup like? Like, yes, I can prepare. I mean, as much as possible, I could bring a chair if I wanted to. I could bring lighting. I could bring all these things. But I also live in New York. And if you're not guaranteeing me a ride into this job, am I going to physically tote it on my little like 5'2" like body? I'm not. There's no chance I'm going to have my makeup kit and then all these things. Like, no way. So how have you kind of worked your way through getting your proper setup? Like, how do you move that way?
So I think that, so when I've been in New York, I've been very fortunate to not come across that so far. Like mostly I think every place I've been to has had like a proper table at least for me to set up and have an area for me versus like when I was living in Miami before, that happened a lot more where I'd walk in and there was just like, they're like, oh yeah, can you just use the bed?
Oh my God.
So, and which I know totally that's it. People do it. Like sometimes you just got to do it. You set up on the bed. Hey, but there have been times like I was in a situation where they wanted us to use the bed, but there was like a full on like fold out table sitting there and they were going to have it for food. And so I was like, okay. And the, younger me would have just been like, whatever. But I've like figured out ways how to like nicely word it without trying to seem like I'm like being difficult or anything like that, because of course we don't want to ever seem like a difficult makeup artist or hairstylist. And so like I'll just kind of explain like, hey, so just explain the situation, why it would work better for me to be able to have a table, how it's more efficient for me, and if that just I find that if I explain that to them and walk them through the process of how it works for me and they understand it, I think that's what the biggest thing is, like communicating for them how things work for us. Because I think we sometimes get so used to, like going to the jobs and having our like jobs where we have the studio set up and we get, the spoiled and we're just like, oh, this is amazing. I don't have to ask for anything. Yeah. And then when you go to those jobs where it's not there, it's really easy for you in your mind to be like, what the heck? Like, why is this not a necessity? Like, this is a necessity. Like, why is this not here? Yeah. But I think there are some people that maybe just don't understand our process. Maybe they're newer or I don't know. There's always a different reason. So I just try to communicate with people so that they can understand what we do, and then vice versa, like understanding what that was set there for, like how else can we work around it, and that way we can all have a synergy. There'll be synergy on set. We can all work together as a team.
100%. No, it's very true. And I love that. You have to put our foot down, and it's always the way that we deliver it. It's just, if you don't ask, you'll never get what you want. If you just constantly are just moving, you got to ask for these things. And a lot of the times, like you said, they're accommodating. Once you're like, listen, it's 12 hours on set. I have this much I got to pull out here. I can always condense down later if you guys need this table in a little bit.
Yes.
Just while I'm putting them through, give me this little corner of this station so I can do my best work and fast for you and get out. Like, this is going to be good for everyone. Like you said, it's the synergy work with me. I know. I love that. Is there any moments I feel like where, again, this is in our optimal life, our best situation, we're getting what we want, we get the sleep, we have the food. Is there anything that you do almost as like a backup situation? Like, let's say with even just the food on set or other things, is there anything you do when you feel like you are completely in a zone where there's no healthy options, there's not a lot to do? Like, what do you do to still kind of create your best environment for yourself health wise? Is there anything that, are you specific to asking about ordering something, or would you just wait and maybe do a walk away, or do you just like, hey, today's a junk day, I just have to bite it?
So I've had all three of those. Definitely,
yeah, I know.
I've had all three of those experiences. So definitely with clients that I'm a little bit more familiar with, because I do also, that's a lot of things. A lot of people have allergies now, like sensitivities and diet restrictions. So a lot of times I will try and just let the producer know in an email or something like that. And then if I do find myself in a situation, like actually it happened to me the other day, it was 4:00 in the afternoon. We still hadn't had lunch. And I was like, okay. And there was no water on set, and I had my water bottle, thankfully. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm just going to bite the bullet. And I ordered some like snacks to come to me to set. And so that's pretty much what I did. So I feel like that's kind of, if I find that moment where I can like real quickly like order food or something, even though I don't want to, I still will do it. And like some people might feel differently about it because they're like, well, hey, the whole set's not eating, why should you? But at the same time, like you said, I need to be energized. I need to be fueled. And so that's what I have. That's what I have done before. And then if I find myself, in a situation where I don't know the client, but I know that we're going to have like lunch and breakfast catered and stuff like that, sometimes I'll ask them if I can look at the menu ahead of time, just so I know what's going to be happening or what's going to be on the menu, so I can also prepare myself. Because I've had that happen too, where I'm like, oh, this client's great, like they always feed us, and then I go and it's like pasta, because I have a gluten allergy, so it's like pasta and subs and stuff like that. So I've learned, I've relied on a lot of clients and people in the past to have stuff that's going to be suitable for everyone, and it's not always the case. So I've started to, if I feel like I'm not annoying them, that I will ask them what that lunch menu is going to look like, just so I have an idea.
Smart. I think these are all like great questions and things, I think, for people just coming in and going about it. And even now, because like I said, I still know some people that really are just like, I'll ride it out. You end up going home exhausted and like binge eating because you rather not make a fuss, which again is just not optimal. The more we can get people to just feel comfortable, or just like you said earlier, like even if the whole set is suffering in that way, I'll look out for myself and I'll give a call. I'll go run out and get a snack on my break, or I will call myself some food. You have to do what you have to do. And again, it's all just for your beneficial for health. You shouldn't ever compromise that. And I think if you get more in that wave of feeling like it's definitely a priority, along with being on the job, not just the makeup and, doing that. Yes, of course, first and foremost, but your health as well is very, very important. I don't know I don't know if you've seen anybody on set. My other questions to you, or I've seen people, circulation for me, I have shit circulation even if I'm just walking around. Like my hands will go numb. My fingers and my hands are usually freezing. I don't know. I just have probably have low iron and a bunch of other things, but just horrible circulation. I can't even cross my legs too long without being like, wow, my feet are numb. So there's that. Yeah, no, truly. So a lot of the times, I forget what set I was on where I saw somebody, they had something like a massaging thing for their feet. Like it was like to move something on their feet. Like literally if they were sitting backstage, they would kick their shoe off and they would kind of help just like a ball, I guess, roll under their foot. Yeah. And then a bunch of people now are bringing the guns, those little like, the muscle guns to set and sitting there and having it massage their back while they're, and I'm like, this is genius because we need, I love it. I was like, it might look bougie to some people, but I was like, it is so needed. Like we're not even realizing the slight bit of hunch that we have when we're sitting, especially half the time too, when we're physically on set, on locations, when you're around Video Village, it's like we're in full on camping chairs. like the slouchy, comfortable camping chairs. Some people are smart and they have more of the supportive back, but I don't. And sometimes I have a little mini chair when I'm day playing. I don't even want to take up that much space. So I'm like, oh, here's my little tiny like stool that I'm willing.
But that's smart that you do have that though. That is good.
Very smart. At least have a chair. I've not sometimes, and then I've just stood and been like, I'm fine, I got it, and I'm crying.
Yeah, I know. I find myself end up like squatting down when I don't have a chair or something, and people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just do it."
No, I love to squat. This is why I'm here. Yeah, it's good. Oh my God. Do you know, or have you seen anybody, like, do you have any little hidden tricks? Do you ever bring like that little muscle gun on? Do you have anything like that in your repertoire?
So I have not brought that on set. I actually haven't thought of that. We have one at home. The ball, I use that at night for the bottom of my feet a lot of times. I've never thought about bringing that on set, but that's so smart to just bring it on set. And when you have a moment, pop off your shoe, because the balls, I mean, like our feet alone, they take so much pressure and stress all day. And it's funny because there was a conversation going around about like people who train barefoot in Stark City, like like that's really gross, I'm sure, to train barefoot inside of a gym with like multiple people. But if like training at home barefoot, it's so good for your feet because we're standing on our feet all day. So utilizing those muscles and like strength training them with no shoes on really does help benefit us longer in the long run on set. But it's kind of it's a little weird at first, I'm sure, for most people. So also new set.
I wouldn't pop out my first day, my first new set group of people, and I'm like, hey, I don't think I have the balls to do that. I'd be like, I'll save that for the people I work with a lot. Like, I'm all right.
Yeah, completely understandable. I get it, because it's like, it's a very weird thing. Like, hey, I'm just gonna go like bench some, or not bench, but like do some squats over here with no shoes on. Like, yeah, it's a little weird.
Like,
but
man, please, make yourself comfortable, I guess. You're like, yeah, I will.
Yeah. So that is the ball is really, that's a smart idea. So I highly suggest everybody else to take that, like a lacrosse ball or something like that. And that's perfect for the bottom of your feet. It just breaks up all that, like the deposits that build up and like the muscles that get tight. So that would be a great way to just relieve some stress on set. And I do a lot of like random little stretches here and there when I feel like I'm getting tight. So I do take the time to do that. I'll kind of just like step away when I see the moment's good and just like do some little stretches, get my back to kind of loosen up and crack, and then kind of just go back at it from there.
Yes. I feel like another one too that people kind of forget, and I've seen people in theater, and I'm sure obviously TV as well. A lot of people get carpal tunnel. So I've had a lot of teachers or people that have the same gig every day. They're using the same tool because they're doing the exact same makeup. I know a couple people, Lion King, for example, like have had to use different tools for their wrists and stuff. And even, I don't know if you've seen it, but on brushes, they've put like a little cushion for where we kind of rest, like where you hold the pencil, it's resting on your face. Just to help, I guess, release the tension a little bit more while we're painting. It's less like concentrated. So that helps loosen the muscle, which I think is very smart. Like people are making tools even more accessible for just long-term use. Because I don't think people realize that as well. Our hands, I mean, my God, if I just take a little bit of lotion while I'm on set and just move around my hands, I'm like, okay, that even helped me a little bit. Because you don't realize how sore they are.
It's so true. Until somebody like really starts to like get in there, you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much built up in my hands. And I mean, stretching them, the carpal tunnel, I really hope that I never experience that. I try to stretch my hands every morning, even at nighttime, because a lot of times like it'll get tight in this area, and then my fingers will get very tight too sometimes, like you were saying. And I feel like how you were saying when you hold the brush, like you get this like little raw spot. That only so much you can do about the raw spot. That's so nice that they're having like silicone added to the brushes now to help with that. But you're right, our fingers get put in all these weird positions. So I find that stretching and not over, like, how do I explain, like not overextending your arms, but just like finding the right position to really get into the muscle, and you'll feel it. You'll really feel it. And the same thing with your legs on set. And a lot of times the way that people stand on set is we like hyperextend our knees, and a lot of times it'll be like this, like our knee is kind of like shaped like that, where we're not allowing the blood flow and we're like putting so much pressure on our legs. So we need to bend our knees a little bit and keep just a little like slack there, you know, and that helps with keeping the blood going and just like not creating soreness in your knees. And that was a big thing that I learned, because we overextend our backs, because that's also another thing that a lot of models do too. It's so popular within their, you know, when they shoot, they always want to like have super extended backs.
Right.
Of course. And then, but your lower back, like I even talk to some of them sometimes, and their lower backs are killing them by the end of the day from just the way that they pose. And it's so a lot of the way that we stand on set, the way that we hold our hips and the way that we hold our knees, if we just learned how to properly do that, it would make a total difference in the way that we felt at the end of the week, at the end of the day, all of it.
Yes. And it's huge. And I wish I kind of listened to people's advice way at the beginning, because on the hip note, I was told that all the time, because I would sit slanted, like with my hip, one leg popped out and fully extended, and like totally stoic like that, standing, waiting to jump in for last looks or whatever. But that was just my stance, because that's comfortable. That's what I do probably on a normal basis. But not realizing it when you're doing it for extended amount of hours just because it's comfortable, what it does long term to you is a lot of damage. And even my shoes, people are like, you do not wear supportive enough shoes for these long days. I don't care if they're ugly, you need to up your shoe game. And even running around backstage, when I worked at Kinky Boots, they were like, there's no elevator. So you're doing flights and flights and flights of stairs up and down during the show. So every time I worked it, and I eventually my foot, because they had PT in the building, which is great. So when you work on a show long term, you can kind of go on, I think it's on 2 show days or certain days they come like twice a week, the PT people in the building. So if there's a free slot, I of course let the actors go first, and then if there's a free slot, I jump in. But I've seen my feet, and then like, oh, you have oh my God, I'm gonna forget the word, but basically your foot, it like stunts up, like it does I don't know the word. I'm so trash for not knowing what it is. But she said something. It's
okay. I don't even know.
I forget it wasn't my foot, but she was like, you have to, bottom line was, you have to wear more supportive shoes, or else your foot is going to continue to cramp like this and ache in the areas that it was. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I wish, because I've had years of wearing like flat shoes, Converse to Van, to just
me too. Guilty.
Have nothing to help me at all whatsoever. So that's another big thing, I think, is just what we're wearing can even help us, and comfort, like from head to toe, even clothes. Like that's just anything that's going to be optimal. I might not be able to wear, a dress. Maybe I want a more comfortable bra that day for a longer day. Like there's just certain things to really help make your body feel as comfortable and get the most support possible.
Definitely.
Do you wear any shoes now that you love, that you feel like is like your go-to set shoes?
So I just recently bought a pair of these Reebok shoes. They're kind of made more for like CrossFit, but I find that because they're wider at the front of it, so it's more comfortable for me. And then also, I have not purchased them yet, but I have heard from like 3 different people that Dr. Scholl's has been creating some really cute shoes that have like all of their technology in the bottom of it. So it's, orthopedic friendly and everything. And I was looking on their site, and they actually do have some really cute things, like from Chelsea boots to like slip-ons and stuff like that. And they're reasonably priced. I have not purchased them yet, but I'm definitely looking into it. So but everyone I know has said great things about them.
Okay, if you want to sell me on a Dr. Scholl's moment, I'm gonna try to think it's fashionable. But again, if it's helping me, I'm like, whatever. At this point, I don't even care. I'm not trying to sell it. It's fine. It's good. I love it. Well, I'm really excited because you actually have your boyfriend with you on hand.
Yes.
And you guys were the duo that I saw, so I wanted to bring him on as well, and I'm happy he wanted to partake. But I want you guys to show us some of the strengthening exercises that are particular to makeup artists, to, like you said, for the targeted areas that get affected the most when we're working these long hours, even when we're doing the best possible we can to take care. What are the ways that we could also just up our game even more?
Okay, cool. All right, so this is how I like to pick up my kit when I'm either putting it into a car, going up and down the stairs. So the Burton has this bottom strap right here, and it has this top strap. And you can see I'm already like in a squatting position. Yeah. So this is how you really want to pick up your things. And this is how I hold it when I'm actually going up the stairs in New York, because it's more even. Versus like I see people doing this and they're like struggling.
Yeah, that's me. So yes. That's it.
So, and also, the wrong way that I see people picking up their suitcases is just like this. They're just like, but it's killing your back. So if you use that power from your legs, that really helps. So.
Interesting. Way better. And especially like you're saying, depending on the bag, use the actual things it gives you to get that kind of evened out leverage. So you're not just like everything's top heavy.
Exactly. And I mean, if you don't have a Burton, I still think most of the suitcases have a side handle anyway. So you can still pick it up this way. Smart. And then go up the stairs versus just like trying to wobble up the stairs.
Just losing my full balance. It's fine. I love it. I love it. Well, if you guys have exercise, yes, go ahead. You run the show. Go ahead and tell me.
No. I'm sorry. I was gonna say that was it. That was all I wanted to show you. That was my only little thing.
Hey, I love it. Do you guys have anything with you and Sam, or Sam's taken over?
Hey, how you doing, Rachel?
We can both demonstrate, or he can just demonstrate whichever you'd like.
Yeah, we'll demonstrate a little bit, and I'll probably run it through some things. So, like she was saying, with the suitcase, when you kind of like, just to give you guys a little bit example, like if you're not picking it up properly, and when people don't understand, this is your lower back, everything in front of you, your lower back is supported. So if you pick everything up, whether the burden is 60 pounds, it's not just the 60 pounds you're lifting up, it's whatever your body weight is too. Right. And you're putting all that stress. So like as she was saying, properly bend the knees to pick things up, because now you can see that my glutes are working, hamstrings, quads, all those type of deals. Yeah. You can use a little bit more of your core and a full body movement. Love and I would say the same thing, even on set when you're taking the stuff out of your kit. Eventually you're gonna be fatigued, and after a while we all go into this like, low back position, rounded back. You're just like reaching for the ground. You're just tired, but we can. You get a wider stance, bend the knees a little bit. It'll save you a lot in the long run. Yeah. Yes. And a couple other few exercises that we'll keep it kind of body weight today, just because I think not everybody has equipment yet, especially with equipment being sold out. Right. So this is a great one right here. So I'll have Crystal demonstrate. Okay. So a great body weight, and you go inside view so you can see. So a great body weight exercise at home would be like a reverse lunge, because you're going to get some single leg action, which is going to move the hip, because after being still all day, your hips get kind of locked up. So go ahead and do some reverse lunges. Yep. So you'll see each hip is going to move independently. As she steps back, she's going to get a stretch in that back leg as well. So the hip flexors from being tight all day from standing and sitting is important to stretch. Yeah, so this kind of hits everything, and it's shown this way. So the same thing, as she's stepping backwards, one hip is higher, one hip is lower. And that's one of the best gauges to tell low back health. Like, if you ever walk behind somebody and their hips don't move, they probably have a pretty jacked up back. Okay. And probably have back pain. Oh, no. Right. So you want to be able to see, like, you want to kind of have that swivel, when someone's walking. Yes. You want to have a little groove to your walk. It means it's more loose and your hips are working the right way, because your hips are the same as your shoulders. A lot of people don't realize that. It's just a bigger position. So the same way your shoulders need to move, your hips have to move. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, exactly. They're really the same thing. You have labrums here, you have labrums. They're just both hip and socket joint. Socket joints. Sorry. Yes. Sorry about that. Another great one, especially for you guys, is going to be any variation of core exercises. And some of the easiest ones to do at home are going to be like your plank exercises. So I'll put a pillow on the ground so she doesn't have to get dirty, but I'm going to a low plank real quick. Yeah, so I'll show you variations, and this is like too hard. There's variations to this as well. So when she gets down here, the low plank is usually the best one, so you guys can see her. She's going to be on her forearms. She's going to want to keep her head up, right? Now that's important too, because while you guys are working, you guys usually have your head down, looking down on somebody. She's focusing on keeping all this rigid. Right, so as here, she's going to create full body stabilization throughout the body. Nice. So again, a lot of it comes back to standing all day and just be able to stay stable. Right. So when you're standing, that's good. So when you're standing, you can kind of offset those effects of, you're all standing kind of to one side because you get tired and, fatigue is real. Another variation that's pretty simple at home would be your side plank. And this is going to be great. This is, so go ahead, set up your side plank. And this is going to be great for your obliques and those same stabilizers. So with the plank here, you're kind of working down the middle. And then with the obliques, you want to work those side muscles, right? Yes. So as she gets here in position, she'll be on one forearm. She wants to keep everything nice and stable. And she's doing a little variation, guys. So normally you put your foot on top, but she did hurt her toe the other day. So she's just doing a variation. So anytime you have injuries, you can always work around your injuries. Right. So as she's here, she's going to plant up. Go ahead. And I'll kind of bring the camera around so you can see this other view. So as she's here, you can kind of see how there's that space between the ground and her lower body.
Yes.
Right? And that's going to be a good shot to work those obliques. And what's very important about the obliques is that ties into a lot of those low back muscles. So strengthening those obliques, those exterior, interior obliques will also get rid and help with some of that back pain. Another great exercise would be that squat that she was talking about earlier. So you guys talking about you just pop a squat while you're at work?
Yeah.
So a great one, I say pop a squat like that, but So a great one is actually don't try to, normally you just do a body weight squat with nothing holding on. Mm-hmm. This one, so go ahead, Crystal. I want you to go ahead and hold on to the column like this. So she's going to get into that squat.
Okay.
Yeah, get low. And you can find something to grab. It's actually going to do a little bit more because as she's grabbing, she's going to let her body weight take her backwards. And she's also going to get a stretch in the, your back here, your back. So, you're usually tight, you're kind of scrunched up. This will release some of that mid back and that upper back. So this is a great one I recommend to everybody. It's going to get the knees moving again, the hips going.
With carrying your suitcase, I know that I do a lot of training with weights that are about the same weight as my suitcase.
Right.
And I'll walk with those just to try and get myself used to being able to walk with that up and down the stairs. So if you don't have weights at home, maybe find I think I said a duffel bag and put some books in it, some shoes, something of that sort that's going to give it some good weight. And that way you can practice at home going up and down the stairs or whatever that may be to work on your core, because a lot of that comes from the core.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to try to match the demands of your work. So she was saying what you can do, because obviously we're going to use a suitcase because I think, like she said, everybody usually has one. If you don't have a bird, you have a bazooka or you have something else.
Yes, and he knows what it is. Let's go.
Right?
He knows.
Right? I know by now, look. Yeah. And I've carried some of her stuff, and I'm like, shit, how
I know, right? We're like, well, this is wrong.
Right. And so, we have all these ideal positions, but there's going to be times where you're in a rush. If you're going up and down, especially if you're in the subway and you're going up and down, you're not going to be able to hold it every time. Sometimes you want some space and you have to hold it to the side.
Right.
So things like she was talking about, you can do at the gym would be like carries, or what we call marches.
Okay.
So I'm just going to pretend this is a kettlebell or a dumbbell.
But you could use your burden as well.
Or you
Totally could.
Any bag you have at home, you can just fill it with product if you don't have any weights.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a great way. Book bag, any set bags.
Totally.
So I'm going to turn this sideways. So there's a few variations. So to offset that, either you're on set or you're carrying this up the stairs, or maybe you're in the airport. You usually carry it on one side. Ideally, you would switch it back and forth, but who's really doing that?
Right.
So the exercise she was talking about was the carries and marches. So you can hold a kettlebell, a dumbbell, a book bag, and you kind of hold here. So you can walk. It sounds weird, but you can walk around the house kind of like this. This stabilizes. This is a great core exercise. If you don't want to move, this is even harder.
Yeah.
So you mark in place, and this is, right now, this is kicking right here.
Right.
You do it for 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Hit the other side.
But I love that. I love that only because, too, like you're saying, it's almost like you're prepping your body to build those muscles that we think, oh, I'm not working out. But just like you said, by carrying a bag, by leaning over, by standing, these are all the things that we are actually putting stress on our muscles throughout the day. So finding tools to not only build up those muscles, so it's easier for us, and we have more sustainability when we're doing these everyday actions on set is really important. And then we have our downtime to release those tensions and make sure to continue to strengthen and stretch is even more important to keep the longevity of what we're doing, which is incredible.
Exactly.
Right.
That's great what you said. Even for me, I come from the background working with athletes first, and now I kind of work with general population.
Yeah.
But nothing has changed. The first goal of my training is injury prevention. Because if you can stay injury-free, you can train better, train longer, get stronger, get faster, or whatever it is that you're training for.
Totally.
If it's just to stay healthy, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I love these. These are incredible. I guess my last question, and if I could pick your brain, would be, is there any minimal stretches that I can do? Is there any, aside from weight building, is there any things, whether it be from feet or calves or even hands? I loved what you showed us when they were in the squat and pulling for the back, and this was kind of stretching. Is there any other stretches you recommend that I can do if I'm a little more shy on set and it's a little bit more, I'm just sitting in my little small area? Is there something I could do?
Can't pop a squat.
Yeah, couldn't pop a squat, but I could do something else.
Yes, definitely. So we'll kind of work let's start from the head all the way down. So, for the neck, a simple one is just like putting your arm behind your back.
Okay.
Make sure that when you do it, that you want to make sure the shoulder's not this way. You want to make sure it's shoulder blades down and back. And here you can kind of knock out the whole neck. So if you pull from here, think down at 45 degrees, right? You're going to get those rear neck muscles, your traps, all those.
Yes, exactly.
If you kind of pull just to the side,
yes,
you're going to feel some more things here.
Yep.
And then especially the good one here is the 45 down and back. Because what we get really all day is from, especially being on the phone or talking, all these scaling muscles, chewing, drinking, like these get overused. You're stressed out. Where's the first thing you breathe?
Right.
Everything is here.
Yep.
So another one is, same thing. Putting the arm behind the back, down and back 45. So you get those scalenes, all those front neck muscles.
Okay. Okay.
So that'll take care of like the neck and the trap, and that's something you anywhere from, I would say, 10 to 30 seconds.
That's calm enough. Nobody's gonna make fun of me for that. It's fine.
Yeah. It looks like you're cracking your neck. And people do that, in public all the time. Now let's kind of come down to the shoulders. A good one, even though it sounds funny. This one you may not do, like I'm set. So if you have time, it's like a runner's march with the hands. So just throwing your arms forward like this.
I've seen some people, Yeah,
it's gonna loosen up the shoulders. You can take it old school. This is like PE back in middle school.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
As far as my extent goes. So yeah.
Up and down, just kind of get everything. You can roll them. Okay. Just things like that. That takes care of the elbows as well. The wrist, something easy. It's just doing like wrist. So just kind of like, if you're just here, clockwise, counterclockwise.
I do that on set. People are like, "Are you dancing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not dancing."
Yes, I'm voguing, bitch. It's called Vogue. Try it.
Yeah. Making a fist.
Yes.
Extending the fingers. That help the especially because you guys tend to do a lot of fine motor skills with the brushes.
Yes.
Especially either a hair brush or with a makeup brush.
Right.
So a lot of times you have achy joints, and I can see where you carpal tunnel because you're squeezing usually with those three fingers, and it leads down here.
Yes.
If you want to pull the fingers back, that really gets here.
Oh, good.
Pulling the fingers back, that'll get the wrist.
Dang, that was.
That's kind of like the full upper body. I don't really recommend this. I know you guys do this a lot.
Yes, I've seen. Yeah.
And you kind of don't want that because if you're gonna do it, it sounds weird. If you're really gonna do that, you gotta squeeze your glutes. And you don't want the rotation, even though your lower back is sore. You don't want that to happen because your lumbar spine isn't meant for rotation. Your thoracic spine, the portion from like your belly button to about your chest, is what's really meant for rotation. So if you can see the difference here, this is from the lower back. So you see my hips moving everywhere. And then this is gonna be from the thoracic. You see how now this.
Right.
And that'll actually hit the muscles that are bothering you more.
Interesting. Okay. More control for sure.
Yeah, and then
I love
and just kind of going down the body. Let's get the lower back. And the lower back, what I would do is I wouldn't go crazy with a toe touch. A lot of people tend to go really crazy with a toe touch and they just keep their legs, like she was saying, extended, which it makes you look like you have a good butt. Looks good, but you want to keep them soft. So instead of doing this, you'll notice like I'm pretty flexible, so I'm a bad person to show you this, but if I do the whole lockout thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I just go soft knee,
okay.
I'm actually going to get into that lower back. So a lot of the things like she was talking about is positional.
Totally.
You can put your body in a good position. It just works better. So a lot of people that tend to have tight hamstrings are really people that just do this, and they don't realize it. So like she said, models, you guys end up doing it because you're like this, trying to,
Yeah, and you're trying to stay steady, like do our work. So we end up stiffening up, which a lot of people do. Like you have to breathe through actually doing eyeliner and other things. It does not help you whatsoever. So there's that.
And then I'll give you like two more. For the knees, you can just stand there and do this. That kind of works. So if you're sitting down, you can do that. I wouldn't do like the circle thing with the knees that people do. Wouldn't do that because the knees is really just a what do you call it?
Sounds like a hinge, right?
Yeah, it's a hinge joint. Thank you. Having a brain fart. Where it's not meant to. It's not meant to.
I'm a trainer, Sam. I don't know if you realize I'm a full trainer.
Right. And then same thing with the ankles.
Yes.
Little circles. Back and forth, up and down. Really simple. Just things that will free the joint.
Yes, but I love that you took us head to toe because even on my lunch break, if that's the case, if my whole body is just feeling fatigued, if I feel like I start rolling through the whole everything top to bottom, I know I'm going to feel way more relief right afterwards, which is incredible, which is what we need sometimes, just to take that moment when we're so tense. So.
And you know, and sometimes if you really have the space to do it, a great one to get blood flow. I know you mentioned your blood flow earlier.
Yes.
Would be to kind of lay down on the ground with your legs up against a wall. So that takes, it's a weird one, but it takes all the blood flow, and it actually will help with like mental fatigue, because you know, think about your brain. Blood flows with gravity, so your brain doesn't get a lot of blood during the day as much as you think.
True.
You know, so laying down, that allows, usually some people have headaches and migraines, that also helps as well.
I have horrible migraines, so that's incredible. I did not realize that. That is very smart.
Can you demonstrate that at all?
Yeah, I can demonstrate really quick.
So they do it properly.
Yeah, just so that people do, yeah, exactly.
Here I will be tipping over.
I'll use this here. So just pretend this is a wall. Make it as close as possible. So get your butt as close as possible. Normally, probably have a mat, and then just literally just
scoot up all the way.
And this actually also pushes your lower back into the ground. So this is also another position that one of the few times a day you can have all the pressure off your lower back. Because even when you're sleeping, there's pressure on your lower back.
Oh shoot! Really?
Yeah.
There's almost no way to get around it. But this here will take it all. Blood flow is going to come down into the upper body, into the head. And you kind of just chill here for like 5-10 minutes.
I'm going to do that literally after this, because that
give it a shot.
Quite the game changer. I love that. Guys, I cannot thank you enough. This is incredible information. Crystal and Sam, you guys, what a freaking duo. You are so lucky to have him at home.
Yes, I am.
You come home and you're like, yeah, I'm wrecked. He's like, all right, let's get to work. It's a whole workout now.
For real though. He totally does. Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Well, thank you both for coming on. You guys gave us so much insight, really needed. As far as for Crystal and even Sam, I'll happily tag all your stuff below. Guys, keep up with them. Take their tips, listen from us, just ask, do the deeds. This will help your overall mental and physical health, and definitely have more sustainability for our job. So thank you both for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him.
Anybody can just reach out to me.
A wealth of knowledge.
My phone number's on there, my email's on there, just contact me.
I love it. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for having us. Have a good day.
We'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.